It's called multi-modal single ticketing. So what we're trying to do is we are trying to make that multi-modal a journey from the point A to point B in the form of a single ticket. So that means that you don't really have to have first the hassle to jump from one app to another app or to book rides and tickets in three phases like first mile, middle mile, last mile. You don't have to do that. Just take one single ticket and you have a QR along with it, right? Just keep showing the QR and just keep scanning it and keep basically finishing your journey.
Hi, Smart Community friends. In this episode of the Smart Community podcast, I have a fascinating conversation with Monalisha Thakur, the co-founder and CMO at Tummoc. Tummoc is India's first multi-modal transport app that provides accurate real-time public transport information, easy ticketing options, and last-mile connectivity. In this episode, Monalisha tells us about her varied background in music and sales and the problems she encountered commuting on public transport over the years that got her thinking about digitisation and solutions. We talk about what smart community means to Monalisha and why everyone should have access to convenience and time-saving transport options, not just the wealthy. Monalisha tells us about the journey of starting Tummoc, how the multimodal ticket system works for users, and the huge feat behind the digitisation of a whole transit network. We finish our chat discussing the emerging trend of making public transport users aware of the sustainability impacts they're making by green commuting and what's next for Tummoc. As always, we hope you enjoy listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed making it.
Welcome to the smart community, smart regions, smart towns, and smart cities. It's where we live, work, and play. With smart communities, the future starts today. Big data, smart mobility, emerging trends galore. The Smart Community Podcast is what you're looking for.
Hello, Monalisha. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing good, Zoe. How are things with you?
Really well. I'm very excited to have this conversation with you. So let's just jump straight in. And can you tell us about your background and what you're passionate about?
Okay, so coming from a family of doctors and lawyers, I've always been somebody who was the dark horse, like never did anything straight, you can say. So, coming from the fact that from very young age, I started semi-classical singing. I used to do that for All India Radio with Bharati. Throughout my college, throughout my schooling, I did that. Then, so that was the time I prepared for medicine for a while, but I was not yet general. So then I was like, let's just chuck it off and get into the normal engineering. When I was doing my master's was into marketing and ops. I got through HCL. It was a campus placement again, the first company I sat for. It's a very big conglomerate here in India. And that was a very interesting phase. I was actually the first salesperson in my entire family. I still remember my parents, they always used to say to people that, she is into marketing. And I used always to correct them that, guys, I'm not into marketing, I'm into sales. Because, it's a different thing. People are not able to understand the difference. But I was like, you know what? No, I'm not a marketing person. I'm an absolute
What were
tech
you selling?
I was into AV sales. I was into AV. So in audiovisual, I have worked with brands like Harman, JBL, Carton. I was there for 7 years. I have worked with Christie. They are into all the cinema halls, the PVRs and the announcers that you see, the high-end projects.
Yeah, technology. Yeah.
And so, almost a decade plus into sales. Great career. I've got some amazing friends from there who has been supporting me throughout the journey even now. So this is how it has been. And in the whole journey, what really happened was in the first early part of my journey as into sales, commute was a big problem. You will always be all over the place. And coming from middle class family, having a basic amenity, and I was always somebody who's very self-sufficient, right? So I will never go and ask my father to get me a scooty or, a car or anything. I'll get it by myself. Now, because whatever I was earning, I had my things to be taken care of. The best mode for me to travel was public transport. So buses here in Bangalore, I was placed here in Bangalore. So they were the easiest mode. Also in my entire engineering and schooling and my entire education, bus and metros, the trains were always a basic part of my whole travel. But along the way, I realized that in India as a country, where everything is progressing, I am progressing, you are progressing, everyone else is progressing. We are the Silicon Valley of the next Silicon Valley, I can put it like this, Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India. But when it comes to the tech of commuting or the way people transport, it is pretty much the same how it was 20 years back. Like when I was a kid till now, there is nothing much that has changed except that we have AC and non-AC buses and we have the EV and non-EV vehicles, right? So digitization was a big problem. Having changes like, right? I mean, now that you have UPI, you can do the payments, right? But I'm talking 7 years back. So when these problems were something, which was constantly, being faced upon, it just made me realize that, this is something, there is an elephant in the room, but nobody wants to talk about it. And this is not something like with a lot of wow factor, I can put it like that, or maybe an X factor. It's like water. There was a very good analogy that my, one of the MBA professors taught us, and it was about, comparing water with diamond, right? So water is something which you need every day, but you're not willing to pay $1,000 for that. You'll be like, what? Just give me a $20 and it's just water, right? But you need it the most. As compared to diamond, you will not even blink your eyes twice if I tell you that, you have to pay 100K. So it is as basic as that. So coming to the point that this has been a problem, that, it has been a hassle for a very long time and nobody wants to talk about it. It's not something which has a wow factor or an X factor that, okay, this is great. But then, yeah, I mean, somebody has to do something about it other than really sitting and bragging and blaming the government, the people, the stuff. Why don't you basically go and work on that? So that's what exactly we did. And yeah so cut to 7 years, 6.5, 7 years now. I mean, glad to tell you that Tummoc, being India's first multi-modal patented platform, we are right now live in 20 cities in India, 3 million users across all the cities. We are doing there's a lot of work that is, constantly going on. I mean, that's where it is.
Yeah, no, cool. I'm looking forward to diving into that. And I guess to explain a little bit how we met, I was hosting an award ceremony for Move Me Empowerism, which is a fantastic program. We'll put the link in the show notes. But Monalisha and her company were the spotlight participant or applicant participant. And so we're selected for the spotlight, which basically means that you're doing amazing stuff and really powering on and advancing in this space. And yeah, I loved being part of it, and I loved meeting all of you as well, because it really goes to show women in tech, and not just women in tech, but like solving these real problems for real people, which is really important. And I love that. So yeah, that's how we've met, and yeah, it's been great to follow the journey. I do want to, we're going to dive into it in more detail because I'm excited for the listeners to hear about it as well. But we'll go broad first, and because we're on the Smart Community podcast. So for you, what is a smart community?
So for me, smart community is, when you say smart work or, anything like that. So what you really mean is the intent of getting things done faster, right? Or having the result faster. The outcome should be faster. Whatever you want to achieve out of it should be faster. Now in India, if you see the smart community, or anyway, smart community in general, for like with whatever work that I have been doing, is to get that ease to the masses of the country, something that has been missing, right? When you say ease, I would say it was something that was confined to the MOD players, like, those who use it, right? The Olas and the Ubers and the people who are having their own vehicle. The convenience was confined to them. For the 75 to 80 million users of India, right, who use public transport on a daily basis, for them, they have to take a choice. Either they can have money, they can save money, or they can save time. So the third option of convenience was never there for them. I mean, they just had two options. If you choose money, because they are all lower middle class people, most of them are blue collar employees. They are daily wage laborers, right? They are people who work at a very, very bare minimum wages, right? So for them, that single penny of saving is much more, important than, like, they would rather do that. They would rather start their day at 5 o'clock in the morning to reach their office at 9 because they have to take a local train, right? Than to think of having a convenience or even a saving time for that matter, right? So for me, it was the fact that why can't they have the same thing? Why can't a convenience as an option or smart community as an option be given to them, right? They also deserve convenience as much as you and me, like we do it, right? So this is, and that is exactly what transit platforms do it. They make it easy for them. Now they can also have the convenience. They can also have the convenience to pre-plan their whole trip, so that instead of getting up at 5 o'clock, he can actually take an hour's sleep more, because he knows that there is someone else who's there working for him, planning his own trip, making sure that he reaches his office on time, and then coming back to home, he doesn't really have to hustle another 2 hours to basically reach home. He can actually have those 2 hours to play with his kid and be a part of whatever family function he wants to do. There is someone else doing that for him. So this is exactly the intent with which the whole thing has been done, and this is what smart communities is for me. That when you say the smart, and when you say the community should not be just confined to one particular set of people. It should be global.
I really like what you said. It's like they serve the same amount of convenience, whether you're taking a bus or, and I think that's really important, and like leveling that playing field, right? And thinking about, well, yeah, that's a really big problem for a lot of people. And so what technology, not necessarily just technology, but what solutions, and technology will be a tool, and it's involved in that, can actually help to achieve that, and solving that real problem, like coming at it from the problem first. So I think that's important.
Absolutely. So because especially women, I can put it like this, that especially women, the working women, right? Because to make sure that their kids leave for school at, let's say, 7 o'clock in the morning, so they have to be up at 5 to make sure that the breakfast is made, that the lunch boxes are packed, and then they have to prepare for their own thing, and then they have to reach the office in time then again. So it's like a daily hassle. It's like a daily thing. So one thing I'm really grateful of the folks in India is for the fact that they have actually understood the problems that they were going through. So a lot of products, like there's a lot of companies, Dunzo for that matter. So there's something called hyperlocal delivery. So from home to office, the fresh cooked food. There's a cook. Let's say the cook comes at 10, right? So that the cook can cook the food at you just have to book a delivery, and the person is going to deliver the food at the kid's school at, let's say, 12. So the kid is getting a hot food. The mother can take that 2 hours of sleep, right? And even she can get a hot food at whatever time that she's having a lunch. Something which is as basic as that, right? Don't you think that is beautiful? I personally find it very, I think if that one smile you're able to give to the user, right? That it just changes the whole perspective. I can just go on and on, Zoe, because of that. Because, when, for example, Bangalore, we also launched, in fact, digitized the biggest a bus transport authority of the country, which is BMTC in Bangalore. They're India's biggest. And when we did the whole process, it took us some time to do that. And, along the way, obviously, there are some hiccups. Your server crashes, you have to go back to the whole thing. It takes some time, maybe an hour or so, to get things back into place. You will not believe of the amount of love and affection that we got from these users. They were like, guys, don't worry, we are here. It's okay, we'll just pay for an additional, like I've obviously booked a ticket from your app, but it's not working now. It's okay. I'll let that $100 go, but don't pressurize yourself, work and get this done. So this is how, these are very small things. When someone tries to put something, a negative comment around Tummoc, you should see, I would love to share. I can actually tell Ikra to go and share those comments of the users, that they are the first ones saying, how can you say that? You don't know how they have changed our lives. Mm-hmm. There are mothers who are telling us that now, I used to be worried about when my daughter is going to come from school or college, because I don't know. Now I know. Now imagine, it's a very small thing, right? Now she knows she can track the kid. She knows that where is the kid she has taken from the college. She has taken this particular bus. She's about to reach in another 15 minutes of time. So she is very happy and relaxed at home, knowing that the kid is coming to, home on time. So they're very small things that you don't even think that, about the impact that is going to create. But the love just keeps pouring in. And I think that's what just helps us just keep moving, and just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Yep. No, thanks for sharing some of those. I think like those little comments, and I know something you talked about when we did the award ceremony as well, because you gave a presentation. It was really, I guess, heartwarming to see those comments coming through and your supporters, but that you not just, and it's not like necessarily your supporters, but the fact that they are your supporters because they've gotten something from the service as well.
Yeah.
But I want to rewind a little bit for people that don't know about Tummoc. So if you can give us the 101 and tell us a little bit about your journey as well. Like we've heard from, where you started, but obviously you decided to start a startup, which, is a wild thing to do, of course. So tell us a little bit about your journey and also the 101 on Tummoc as well.
Of course. So as I mentioned earlier that, a major part of the earlier careers of my life or the early part of my life, I have been an avid public transport user. So, going through the problems on a daily basis, obviously it is there that at somewhere at the back of your head, okay, this is the problem. And I have always been somebody, who takes, the first mover, you can say. I always take something to be solved on my own. That has also been on a trait of mine, that not to wait for someone else to do it for me. I would rather do it myself. So that was the second trait. The third thing that actually happened was I was expecting, and there's certain incidents that happen that kind of give you that trigger that, okay, there has to be something to be done about it. And it just keeps on happening the time you actually do something on that. Maybe, it just makes me feel that, maybe I was born to do it, something like that. Maybe, I don't know if you believe in that part of spirituality, but this is something that I very strongly feel, that we all are here for a certain purpose. And so this is exactly what happened. I was expecting, and we both were into sales, and Hiranmay, the fellow co-founder, and my husband, he was traveling at that time. And every day I had to take metros. Now, from the first mile, I was a healthy person, so I used to walk. That's not a problem. The problem was the last mile. Like, you take metro, you reach the point B, and from there to my home was around 1.5 miles. And that it was a daily hassle, to take the last mile. And this is just random numbers. It was hardly like, if I go with the calculation, it will be like $30, but nobody would charge more than 100 or 150 looking at my condition, because they knew this lady needs it. So one day I basically asked I just asked them that, why you guys do it daily with me? It's just so near. Why you guys charge so crazy? And they said that, if it's so near, why don't you walk? And I walked that day. It's like, okay, fine, I'll walk today. And along the way, obviously, you're 8+ months, your back is killing you, you're crying on the way. All that was happening. But I was just thinking this also, that I'm sure that this is not just me. I'm sure it has happened with a lot of other folks also. And this was like the first time it really hits you hard. Like, okay, this is a problem. And I think 6 months after, and again, Hiranmay was not keeping well. He was down with dengue, and the poor guy, I don't know how to drive. So he had to drive himself off. Now the hospital was 1.5 kilometers. Now the MOT players like Olas and Ubers, the drivers used to cancel this small, like till a mile or 2.5 kilometers ride, because they were not getting much out of it there, right? So it's like, then for that last mile thing, it was always a challenge. So I was not getting a cab. I didn't know how to drive. And so that poor guy, he had to drive himself off. He was puking and driving. The only thing I could do was, sit next to him and get him admitted. That's all. I remember praying all the way to the hospital, hoping that, he reaches there. Then the next challenge was, I had a small kid at home, right? My daughter, Priyangi. And then I had to basically come home, feed her, go back, be with Hiranmay. Then again, that was a hassle, because same 1.5 kilometers. I was not getting cabs, I was not getting autos. And it was a constant hassle. Those 7 days were like really difficult. And this happened again after 6 months. Till the time I was like, I had to really put my foot down. I remember going to Hiranmay, was in ICU. I was like, Hiranmay, we need to do something out of this. I don't know how we're going to do it. And he just looked at me, smiled, and said, let me just first come out of ICU, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But so this is how the journey started. And the third co-founder, which is Narayan, he's the guy behind the tech and the product. In fact, the patent that we have got granted has been written by Narayan, mostly, and then supported by Hiranmay as, the feedback and all the documentation. So these are the folks, so Narayan is from Mumbai. Now, Mumbai is like one of the most busiest cities of India. And their locals trains, which basically, so Mumbai as a city is a long city. It's not wide. So that is the reason the local trains are the ones, they are called to be the heart of Mumbai. and they carry every day 50 lakh, people on an average daily travel from one part of Mumbai to another part of Mumbai to, basically work. So you can understand, the numbers that I'm talking here is crazy. And he was also one of the users. So he also knew the problems and the challenges, and cut to 30 years, 35 years, 30 years back when he used till now, it is still the same. You don't have much of a digitization there as well. So he could really, relate to the problems, the challenges that we're talking about. And he was like, okay, count me in, So this is how the whole journey started. Now we formed the company, all that happened. But coming from middle class family, right? We're not born with a silver spoon, right? So somebody had to take the responsibility to basically make sure that the family is fed, the company is running. So it was me, sales, right? So you get your incentives and all, right? So these two folks, they absolutely jumped completely into it while I continued to work along with, as in a full time, making sure that the company is bootstrapped, properly funded. This actually got strengthened also by the fact that I remember when we are actually trying to raise funds in the early years, one of the very big investor, he actually quoted that, do you really believe in the product that you're working on? And we said, yes, absolutely. I'm sure even this is the need. Then he said that if you really believe in the product that you have, why don't you put your own money into it? I was like, okay, coming from the horse's mouth, let's do it. So yeah, I mean, that's what we did. Did that for 4.5 years. Kept on putting money in the company, helping in the basic marketing activities, while these folks were absolutely into it full time. And yeah, I mean, after 4.5 years, slowly, we started getting investments from outside, a lot of government grants. We were Startup India, the first Startup India Awards. We were actually the runner-ups which was organized by Government of India. We are Startup Karnataka, awardees as well. WRI, we have got twice awarded from them. So yeah, I mean, these were the few of the accolades that actually came along the way. Also along the way, we realized that, when we started the first product, it was called Biker. That was into first and last mile connectivity, the problem that we had immediately seen, right? From your home to metro station to your home, or from a bus stand to your home. So that's how we started. We started in 2 locations in Bangalore and Hyderabad. But along the way, we realized that by the time we started, we had Olas and Ubers also who got into it. Then we had like 10 other folks who had come into it. So we realized that, it comes to a point where, as a business, you have to take a decision whether, you want to really understand the changes and what is it that you want to do. Like, either you want to become an ops company or you want to become a product company. So it was a decision that we had to take, and we decided to be the product company other than, being an ops, right? And that's how the product got upscaled. We pivoted from Biker to Tummoc, which was an ecosystem enabler, a transit platform where the best, like what we thought was like Olas and Ubers are already the masters and they are the best in their game. So instead of, us basically fighting with them and, they are beating us, we are beating, that does not make really any sense. So other than that, if we became that ecosystem enabler of a transit industry in India, which is actually not there anyways, so that, we can bring them as well here in the platform. They are the best, let them do the work. Get the transit agencies like metros, buses, and the players, and so that the normal user, he doesn't really have to go to 5 different places, right? He just wants to travel. He just so why he has to go to 5 different apps or 5 different platforms? Let him be the one to decide that, okay, I want to take a bus, I want to take a metro, or I want to take an Ola, an Uber, or whatever. Like it's up to him. So this is exactly what we did. Yeah.
So if I'm a user of Tummoc, so where would I be standing? If I'm in India somewhere, where would I be? What's the biggest city? If I'm in Mumbai, are you in Mumbai?
No, I'm in Bangalore, but
you're in Bangalore.
We are like,
yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm in Bangalore and we're about to hang out and I'm like, I'm going to go visit Monalisha. How would I be a user of Tummoc?
So the first thing that you have to do is open the app and it will auto-detect your source, like where exactly you are. And you have to put a destination. If you want to change the source, that also can be changed. Another very interesting feature is that once you're in Bangalore, right, and we are live in 20 cities. So even though like when my phone number is from Bangalore, the moment I reach Delhi, it automatically takes the location of Delhi, and all the transit options of Delhi actually automatically comes on the map. So I don't really have to physically go and change my location. It starts from there. So okay, now I have put a source that is auto fetch, destination is there. So the moment I click go, it gives me all the fastest, and cheapest options which is available from here to point B, how to basically travel. Now there you have in the top you have many options, like you have multi-modes. If you want to choose, you're fine with multi-modes, like you have MOD, you have STAs, various form, like you have buses and metros and first and last mile combined, that is called multi-mode. Or you want to only choose bus or only metro, it is like something which is absolutely, or only like MOD players. So you have a choice. There are icons at the top. You can choose one of those. And the moment you choose that, you get all the options. Ideally, the one at the top is the one which is the fastest, and obviously that's how it becomes the cheapest as well, because it's the smartest way to travel. So once you click on that, you will get that how from here you're gonna reach to the nearest. Let's say you choose bus as your mode of transport. So from here, which is the nearest bus stop, how are you going to reach there? You can book a Rapido out there. The Rapido will make sure that you reach there on time. Also, there you will get to know what is the ET of the buses which is basically coming. Like wherever you have to go, you will start seeing that these are the 5 different bus options which is there, right? And let's say if whichever bus you click, at that moment you will know that where exactly is that bus, the exact location, so that you know that okay, with the time that 5 minutes I have. In fact, the app itself is smart enough to tell you that if you start now, out of these buses, this is the one which you're probably going to basically get. So it will make sure that you reach that place on time, and the bus comes in the next 5 or 10 minutes of time. In case that bus is getting late, you will again get a notification saying that, hey, it's stuck in a traffic signal. Why don't you take another option? There's another one which is coming, which is going. So you will get that option as well. And then you take the bus. You have taken your daily tickets or daily passes. You go, you have a QR system in all the buses, 8,000 buses in Bangalore. All of them have Tummoc QRs. You just go and scan your ticket. You are good to go. You finish your whole ride. You get down. In the last mile, if you have to walk, you can walk, or you can take a Rapido right now or quick ride. And depending on the distance, it basically gives you the option and you choose.
What's a quick ride? What's this? The
mile? Rapido is a unicorn from India. They are our first partners. So they are into autos and bikes for the first and last mile connectivity. They are into like point to point, but we use them as a first and last mile partner for these two options. Quick Ride is an EV based car sharing platform. So you have bike sharing, you have car sharing, and they also have their own individual EV cars as well. So let's say, the distance is longer and, you want to take a ride. So you can do that as well. We're also right now talking to Zoom Car, another very interesting startup from Bangalore. They are into, they actually, so initially when they started, they had their own vehicle and you can basically rent that vehicle. Let's say you're coming here for the first time in India and, obviously you'll not, either you have to use Olas and Ubers, or you can take a car as a rental for like say 5 or 10 days of time. But initially they used to have their own cars. Now it's a car rental service. So like, let's say I have a car which is like being there for a long time. I'm not using it. So I'll just put it there as a listing. So you can use that as well. Mm-hmm. And we are also in talks with Blue Smart. So that's right. So the whole idea here is to give the user an options and offers. Like, I have 5 options for you to basically choose along with your walk as well, of course, so that you basically are able to cover your first mile and the last mile. Because the problem with all these MOD players is that they always pick you from the source to the destination. There are no miles involved, right? There's no first and last mile. Mm-hmm. And I think that is because of that, we actually also became lazy along the way. Like I'm talking about the people like us, the folks like us who are a lot into MOD players, we use, and I'm an active consumer myself as well. So that the first and last mile, that that has always been a challenge. Like, okay, from my home, how I'm going to reach to the nearest metro station or the nearest bus stop or that, right? And will I be able to reach on time? Will I be able to catch my metro on time? Who's going to tell me that? Right. So this is how it works. So there's a very interesting concept that I would want to talk of the patent that we have filed. It's called multi-modal single ticketing. That means now that you are here, now, so what we are trying to do is we are trying to make that multi-modal journey, from your point A to point B in the form of a single ticket. So that means that you don't really have to have first the hassle to jump from one app to another app, or to book rides and tickets like in like 3 phases, like first mile, middle mile, last mile. You don't have to do that. Just take one single ticket and you have a QR along with it, right? Just keep showing the QR and just keep scanning it and keep basically finishing your journey.
Yeah, cool. So you basically integrate this with the transit agency, so you can use a whole range of different modes. So can you use rideshare and stuff like that as well as part of this ticket, or is that separate?
Yes. So it's like a multimodal transit platform, like City Mappers. You have City Mappers, you have MoveIts, right? So you basically, the first thing that you get is the public transit information, like discovery of transit information along your city, how you're going to plan your journey. So the first feature itself is plan my trip. So you want to go from one place to another place, that app is going to plan your entire trip in a very smart way, which starts from the fastest and cheapest and goes with, it just keeps adding to the number of, modes and as you go ahead, and time and obviously money as well. And once you click on that, you are able to book all the miles. Either you can go through a single ticket, or you can have individual tickets. Like, you can have Rapido, you can have a bus if you have chosen a bus, or a metro, or you can have multi-modes as well, right? And the last part is ticketing and tracking. Like, you can track that as well. Like, where is my bus? How long is my bus going to take to reach? If that bus is late, then what is the other option that I have, right? Where is my metro? If that metro is coming, so if I have reached one place, estimated like 5 minutes I have, so will I be able to get another, let's say an auto or a bike or a cab, reach the airport? Something as, so basically we're trying to make the whole thing smarter, as you said, smarter computer. So the whole idea is to make the whole journey, the whole travel smart, right? So that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think I'm looking at the time, we're going to have to wrap up soon. It's been great to, hear more in depth of what you've been up to. For me, the sheer effort behind the digitization of the transport network is very impressive, and I imagine was a significant part of, I might use an app, but the whole digitization which was required behind it is a huge feat, right?
Absolutely, because if you see the other apps also, why most of the major apps, like you have 50s of multimodal transit apps across the world, but you will find hardly any in India. Why is that? It is because we don't have open data policy here. That is something which is right now in the making. This government was working on that, and I'm not sure about the timeline when that is actually going to come. And the data is fragmented. There, most of the places it's not even there. So you have to basically go there, create your own data. You have to sit with the team, get the data done, get it verified, put it on the app, and it is a continuous, consistent process, right? So, from the fact that you have to create the data, you have to vet it, because whatever you give on the platform, the user is it, right? Maybe he's going for an interview and trusting you and the app that, okay, the bus is going to come at 10 o'clock. He starts from his home at 9:30, and what if the bus comes at 11? So it's a very responsible thing that you're working at that point of time. You have to be very, 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 very sure. Especially, and the challenge has been that when nothing is there, then you have to start from scratch, right? And that is the reason it took 7 years to basically reach wherever we have reached right now. But yeah, I would say I don't have any regrets of that. I always say that, being the first mover has its own upsides and downsides as well. When you're doing it, you should do it the right way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, well, I do want to just move to the future now. We might have to do some kind of tweetable answers, some short answers. But yeah, really keen from your perspective to understand, what are the future trends that you think people aren't talking about enough?
So definitely EV has been there. There's a lot of question, there's a lot of buzz, I would say, about making the whole thing green, and I absolutely go with it. Coming from the Indian perspective of the mass consumers and the mass users of the public transport, I think there has been a missing link of, how to make them understand the importance of it, right? That, when you say green, what exactly it is and how are they impacting it? Because I think unless until a person understands, right, that this is the impact of a small act of taking a public transport is basically, happening, the more motivated he will be, to basically use that. So right now, the aim of Tummoc is not to solve this problem, but also to make the users understand that missing link. That hey, by using public transport, how are you supporting sustainability? How are you supporting the reduction of carbon emissions? Right? How are you planting more trees? How are you making the environment greener? Right? Wouldn't that be amazing? So this is exactly what we feel are the trends, and absolutely looking forward to it, keeping our eyes and ears open to make sure that we are able to take this message right across the masses.
So where to next for smart communities?
So as I already mentioned to you that we already have our patent granted for India. We have just now filed it for US, North and South America, Canada, Europe, and Australia. And absolutely looking forward to spread this single ticketing across the different countries of the world. So this is the plan. For that, we definitely wanted to have the tech approved and supported, and that is what we have started with. So as soon as the approvals come, we will be more than happy to start working and basically spreading the same intent of single ticketing with green commuting across the different parts of the world. Yeah, that's the next step.
Well, it's been so great to chat with you, Monalisha. I've really been looking forward to this conversation. Thanks so much for sharing so much about what you've been up to, and congratulations on everything that you've achieved and will continue to achieve, because I know that you're a powerhouse and the team is working really hard to bring this to scale. So yeah, it's been absolutely amazing to chat with you today. Yeah, so thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Absolutely, Zoe. I would say the pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for having us there. And, basically, as they always say that, whatever you're doing, if you don't basically put out there, how will it really reach the masses of the work that you're doing? Right. So that's exactly why I'm here. And I'm sure and assured that, the message will go right to the people of the work that Tummoc is trying to do. And thank you so much for, being the medium to do that. Looking forward to have you here and basically to host you here in our country. And show you some of the places around.
That would be awesome. Just one last question. How can people connect with you?
So, I'm available on LinkedIn. I'm available on Instagram as well. It's Monalisha Thakur. So, please feel free to reach out to me. Most of all my details are there available as well. I'm on Twitter too. So these are the three major places where I am kind of active. I try to be, because, I'm here heading growth and marketing. So I have to be in touch with what exactly is happening on the social media and all those aspects as well. So these are the places you can always find me. And then I'm very quick to revert. If in case I'm delaying, there has to be some reason behind it. Otherwise, most of the times you'll find me right on point. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you again so much. Yeah, we'll put all the links in the show notes. People can click away and find you and, have a chat with you, it seems, which is great. People love to reach out. And I think, it's a really a nice community, I suppose, and thinking about how we can all improve and move forward. So it's awesome. Thank you so much.
The Smart Community podcast is brought to you by My Smart Community. If you're trying to deal with disruption, not sure what technologies to buy, need to facilitate genuine collaboration, then we can help. Email hello@mysmart.community or head to www.mysmart.community/consulting.
Thanks so much for listening to the Smart Community Podcast. Show notes for this episode and all other episodes are available on our website, mysmart.community/podcast. If you have any questions for us or any of our guests, you can email hello@mysmart.community. You can also find us on the socials. We are on LinkedIn and Twitter @SmartComHQ. That's com with 2 M's. If you are enjoying the podcast, please hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we would love for you to leave us a rating and review at wherever you listen. This really helps us reach more ears and eyes, so thank you for your support. As always, we hope you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed making it.
The Smart Community Podcast is what you're looking for.